Alright guys, you saw the name of the video. You know this is a review of the Zac Brown Band's 6th album, The Owl. And I gotta start off this review with 2 words and 1 question. What happened? The Zac Brown Band has been beloved by country fans, despite not being like the most country band. They're a little bit more jam bandy. For many, many years, they broke out with Chicken Fried. There's no dollar sign on a piece of mind. But they've just had so many hits in the past decade. Everything from Colder Weather to Highway 20 Ride to whatever it is, to even like stuff on their last album like Roots and My Old Man, and just a ton of gorgeous songs. They're known for their harmony, their incredible instrumentation, and their just tightness as a band, but also kind of their welcoming, fun, warm, harmonious, excellent musicality that has like this almost kind of Grateful Dead-like following. Now, they've experimented a few times over the years. They've worked with Dave Grohl before on the underrated The Grohl Sessions. They've even worked with Avicii, rest in peace. They experimented with Jekyll and Hyde with some more poppy sounds. Then they kind of went back to country with their last album, Welcome Home. But then this album, they went full tilt crazy. We've kind of seen the evidence that this might happen. There was a song called Someone That I Used to Know that dropped last year and is still their current single. Someone that I used to know. It hasn't been a very big success for them, but it had this very kind of Avicii-ish thumping EDM beat all throughout it. Then we heard this live version of the track God Given. Left us all saying, oh gosh, is Zac Brown going to start rapping about Gucci and Veyron whips and G5s? And he does. And our worst fears were, I would say, confirmed with the release of The Owl. Now, I want to walk a fine line with this review because I love the Zac Brown Band. Their talent is obvious. Their appeal is obvious. They have so many of my very, very favorite songs, and they have been such just like a beacon of goodness within country music for a long time. I mean, it's ironic that I'm shooting this review now when Zac Brown very famously called out Luke Bryan for making the worst song he'd ever heard when he was calling out That's My Kind of Night and saying it had no substance, because I think a lot of people are going to turn around and say, but this record has no substance to Zac Brown. And I'm really sensitive to artists doing what they want and being who they want to be. I get the sense that this record is born out of a lot of pain and maybe out of like a bit of a midlife crisis and a mid-band crisis for the Zac Brown Band. I was saying on Twitter today, we all have our phases. There was a time where I thought I should have a nose ring, and you just got to work through these things sometimes. But I feel like it's only fair, in the spirit of reviewing this album, if I don my fake nose ring that I purchased, just to show some solidarity that, we can wander a little bit in life. I think it was a good call that I didn't get one. But just to say, like, look, Zach, I get it. We all have our phases. Now, this album makes me really sad. I think the Zac Brown Band on it is really burying the things that make them special, which is to say their harmony, their instrumentation, and their thoughtful lyrics. I'd say none of those are the star here. This is much more beat-driven and much more this kind of ongoing manic episode, I would say. Now, the first listen through the album, I was just like, what the hell am I listening to? This sounds not like the Zac Brown Band I signed up for, and that always happens whenever an artist tries to change their style abruptly. So I was like, okay, let's go back and listen through the album again. Forget the whole genre thing of like, this is not a country album, and just try to listen with an open mind. And it still made me really, really sad. And then when I really tried to focus on the lyrics, it still made me really, really sad. It's just not a good album. It's a little bit of a lost album. And that bums me out because the Zac Brown Band is one of my favorite bands. The whole thing starts off kind of on the defensive immediately, almost prepping you for this is going to be a different album from us. The first song is called The Woods. And I guess that's why they look like they're standing at the edge of the Forbidden Forest on the cover of this album. I never quite figured out why it's called The Owl, but that's beside the point. He says, like, some folks stay out of the woods, I'm going in. And he's like, one man's trash is another man's treasure. There's a lot of, some people like this, but I like this. Some people think this, but I like this. He's basically saying, I'm different and let me kind of wander. You get more of that on Need This, which is the follow-up track. It's too damn young, too much fun to quit this. All I know is right now I need this. And he's thinking about like wanting to go to Mexico and get in trouble and drink a little bit and light himself up, like he wants to get lit up like the 12 Days of Christmas. It's basically saying, let me be shallow. Let me be shallow. It's almost like telling you that preemptively. And obviously, you know, the context to this album is that Zac Brown and his wife divorced in October of last year. In 2016, obviously, there was this, you know, drug charge, and there was like strippers and cocaine involved. And I don't know to what extent all of that really went down, but that's what was out there in the press. And I get the sense that this album is coming from a really dark place from Zac's perspective. And it feels a little bit like, for lack of a better term, just like a midlife crisis. The third single definitely fulfills that kind of shallowness. It's called OMW, and the chorus is literally this. When you see that OMW, OMW, meaning I'm on my way, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm on my way, yeah. When you see that OMW, OMW, meaning I'm on my way, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm on my way, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm on a plane, yeah. Only a half a day away, yeah. Put a smile on your face, yeah. When you see that OMW, OMW, meaning I'm on my way, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm on my way. You're just like, you sang Highway 20 Ride? Like, it's a little bit shocking. Because it feels really juvenile. And I don't think the argument here is just, this isn't country and so it sucks. It's like sadder. This is shallow. This is shallow. You've been so thoughtful. I mean, think of like Highway 20 Ride is a divorce song. This doesn't feel like nearly as thoughtful or as healthy of processing. And so that's why I say it kind of makes me sad. Just even the line, when you see that OMW, meaning I'm on my way, the fact that you have that line, meaning I'm on my way, feels like an older guy trying to be young. Like, you don't need to explain what OMW is, but meaning I'm on my way, to me, captures that kind of, like Steve Buscemi saying,
"How do you do, fellow kids?"
Now, that's exposed in some ways by the fact that there are 3 moments of major reflection on this album. Leaving Love Behind, which is the album closer, is a song about like how painful it is to leave his love in the past.
The hardest part is leaving love behind.
Meanwhile, Someone I Used to Know is this moment of really dark self-reflection where he's saying like he's leaving this version of himself in the past. That's just someone I used to know. And then similarly on Finish What We Started, that's perhaps the most mature take on the album, in which Zac is saying, you know, it's almost this little glimmer of hope. Like, can we get to a place of being healthy? I know we're in different places now, but can we finish this thing that we started? And I don't know if that's about their journey as parents or if it's about their romantic relationship, but there's some real thoughtfulness. And I think having those moments makes the other songs on this album feel really, really manic and shallow. A song like God Given, where he's just singing about how hot this girl is, the way a rapper would almost, and just saying like Gucci band, stacks on stacks, diamonds fill up your champagne glass, and it's like what she's got is God given. And it's this kind of like really sad rap with kind of this trap beat and little guitar jangles kind of put throughout it. It just I'd be bummed if I was in the band on this record and my contributions were so limited. Like God Given feels really shallow. Another song like Shoe Fly Pie, which is, I don't know quite what it's about. It's either literally about him wanting this girl to make him a pie, or it's all an innuendo for sex. You know, as we know, pie is often a euphemism for a woman's privates. Or I looked it up on Urban Dictionary, and there may be a drug meaning to what shoe fly pie means. And so I think like when you have those songs and OMW and Need This right alongside these songs about kind of wanting to repair himself, to me it's a portrait of a broken man, and what it has created is a really strange album that kind of adds up to nothing and often buries what's special about the band. Now, musically, I will say I think that Me and the Boys in the Band really does capture what makes the Zac Brown Band great. It's long, and you get all of these lovely jams, and you get the instrumentalists get to shine on the record and play their guitars and do their solos and bring in some fiddle, and it's joyful to hear. The same is actually even true on Shoe Fly Pie. You even get little moments like in God Given even where there's some instrumental flourish, but so much more of this is just these big booming pop beats by people like Ryan Tedder and Pooh Bear and even Skrillex, and it's just so not what makes them special. And I think part of my frustration as a listener is just like, you're not seeing what makes you so great. And at the same time, it seems like the collective listener's obsession with the fact that here's this certain mold that makes you who you are and makes you great, somehow that feels really restrictive to them or to Zac or to someone, and there's this intense need to rebel. So it's almost like by focusing on it, are we exacerbating the problem? But I don't know. Maybe it's not that deep, but this is just not an album that I found pleasing to the ear at all. I think like even what I said, Finish What We Started, as the most mature track on the album, even that just feels like overly produced and just bland as a result. This whole album to me just feels really lost. It bums me out. It's cheesy sounding where you don't want it to be cheesy sounding. You read lyrics like the stuff in OMW or the stuff in God Given, and you're like, how is this the same band that was singing Colder Weather? Like, where is this thoughtful lyricism? I don't know. I want them to do what they want, and at the same time, I don't want them to make another record like this. But it feels like something that they had to get out of their system. It feels like, I don't know, I was ready to bash it this morning, and then I listened again, and I was like, I don't want to heap shame on them, because the perspective I'm getting from this record is like, he is ashamed of himself. I don't think he feels very good about himself. It kind of feels like when you go on a diet and you tell your friends, hey, I want you to hold me accountable to this. And then you start trying to be cutesy and being like, well, I'm just going to have one milkshake tonight. And your friends start to kind of resent you. It ain't cute, man. You're not being all you could be. You've told us to not let you do this. Now, like, live up to your own potential. And you start to get frustrated. That's how I feel. I feel like a concerned friend for Zac Brown, having listened to this record a few times. And I'm like, I don't think this is, like, what he's best at. At the same time, part of being a fan is you let people go on the journey. And at the same time, wow, I did not like that record. I'll stick with Me and the Boys in the Band and Shoe Fly Pie and Leaving Love Behind. And otherwise, I'm probably not going to revisit much of this record at all. I would say, like, I would give it like a 3.5 out of 10. It's not good. So you guys let me know what you thought of it. If I'm being too oversensitive, which, welcome to my channel. But that's what I think. And me and my nose ring are going to be signing off. So until next time, guys, I'll see you.